Yo, what's up? A lot of people have been asking me, how do you study perspective? Like, okay, perspective is very important, but how do you study? This is an amazing exercise, and this is basically all that it takes to intuitively kind of understand perspective and make it click for you. But this is I figured out because you reach a point eventually where you don't need to keep learning perspective, which I've reached that point like maybe a few months ago, but I still like to practice it every now and then. But this exercise that I'm doing here of drawing boxes has a nice kind of twist to it, which is that, especially for digital artists, I feel that we tend to overthink the lines a lot, like the actual lines that we draw. We tend to overthink that a lot. So what we do is we draw a line, we control C, like imagine I'm gonna draw a box. So if I'm gonna draw a box, a normal person would just erase, like draw a line, control C, draw a line, control C to infinity. Oh, Photoshop is lagging a bit, Jesus. So you get the point. We tend to have this bad habit of constantly erasing our lines and caring too much, and we forget that our lines don't actually fucking matter. We can just draw things. Like the idea is that we draw the three-dimensional forms, not that our lines look pretty. So like I was thinking about this because I remember I saw a drawing by Kim Jong-gi and he drew like a box or something, and he was like, his lines were actually pretty terrible on that drawing, and actually multiple drawings. Like if you go to check his sketchbook, you will notice his drawings are amazing, but his lines are not perfect. In fact, they're very ugly. So what I started doing was, instead of trying to focus my lines on like being perfect and trying to make them so mechanically perfect and straight, I focused on making my lines kind of ugly and wonky, like this like shaky lines. And this turned out really, really good, because even though the lines themselves are ugly, for some reason this makes the whole thing, the whole drawing or the whole lines look more dynamic. Because when you do the opposite, when you care too much about your lines, you'll realize that your lines or your drawing is going to look very stiff. It's going to look very rigid, like it almost can't breathe. If you feel like your line work always sucks, or the reason why people say, oh, my sketch looks better than the line work, is because of this reason. Ugly lines equals dynamism. And that is a good thing. But when we start to overthink, and when the priority is on our lines instead of the shapes, the 3D shapes, that's when we fuck up. So this is what I've been doing, this thing of literally unplugging my keyboard so I can, compulsively undo my lines. So literally I have a Bluetooth keyboard, so I disconnected and now it's turned off. And now whenever I can't control C. So I'm just used to, drawing a box. If I'm gonna draw a box, I don't control C, and it may be like, this is how you find your perfect drawing speed, your perfect tempo, if you will, by not spending most of your time undoing your lines and just drawing. They don't have to be perfect though, and this is what this exercise will teach you. It will teach you to embrace your mistakes, to show you that they don't really matter. Like I was asking myself, because, every now and then I will find myself undoing my lines a lot. So I would kind of ask myself this question: what if I allow all of my lines to look ugly? Okay, this line is ugly, and I'm thinking, okay, can't I really live with myself if I don't erase this line? What if I allow it? What if I allow all of my lines to look ugly? And what will happen is that you will realize, okay, when you start doing this, and when you start to actually, like, this is a warm-up. So when you warm up like this for a while, you draw a bunch of boxes like this without erasing your lines, and then you draw mannequins, you draw more boxes, or you draw actual anatomy, which I'm gonna do in a minute. You realize that, oh, the lines actually don't matter, because the drawing looks fine, if not even better. Because, there's something really exhausting about control seeing your lines so much. I remember one day I was in a cafe, like before I knew all of this, right? Before I was drawing just as a hobby, just copying other people's art. And I was at a cafe and I was just copying stuff. I was obviously control seeing my lines compulsively. And I remember writing down on the canvas the word exhausting. I was exhausted. Like every time I drew, it just felt so exhausting, because I was just spending more time erasing and undoing and overthinking than actually drawing. And that makes it so much less enjoyable in general. And this is a really difficult habit to break, honestly. So it takes for you to give this a little bit of intention, but it absolutely, I think it pays off. Because look, most of the artists, like when you hear the word warm up for drawing, for warming up your lines, the first thing that comes to your mind is doing this bullshit exercises like this. Like, oh yeah, I'm warming up, I'm doing this. Making my lines like this, straight. I'm practicing line control. This is bullshit. And we all know it. Like, you can cope whatever you want and you can say, no, they actually help, they're really helpful. They're not. They're actually making you overthink even more. This doesn't help you at all. Because what matters is not the actual lines, but the three-dimensional boxes that you create with them and the shapes, maybe the cylinders. So, like, your lines are just like the vehicle for you to create these boxes, right? Because when the box is created, your lines are not going to be the highlight of them. Like they're going to compound into the 3D shape, but it's not going to be the lines who are the protagonists here. And you know, I really think this is a very overlooked and underrated skill, because it's not a fundamental, but the fact, like the concept of not giving a fuck about your lines and just drawing is actually so magical. And this improves your art a lot. Just being able to embrace your mistakes with such confidence that it seems like you're doing it on purpose. It seems like you never fuck up, because this is what's going to develop actual confidence over anything else. And if you're new to drawing in perspective or drawing from imagination, and you're a beginner, you're just starting out and you don't know much about perspective, this is an amazing exercise as well, because this is basically how you learn perspective. You don't need to do any, this always used to stress me out a lot when I saw, like, oh yeah, just draw 100 grids like this for perspective. And I was like, what the fuck? This seems so annoying in general. I didn't want to do math whenever I was drawing. This is why I was so resistant to learning perspective. But when I learned that, literally the only thing that you need to know if you're doing this exercise is about just vanishing points. That's literally it. Maybe you can use a little bit of guidelines, but that's fine. It's not complicated. You just draw a line here. Oh shit. Sorry, my Photoshop is a little laggy. I should restart my computer here. Okay, so you draw a line. Actually, this line can even be invisible. You can just do it like this. Like, the idea is that you kind of understand the horizon line here, the eye level. So yeah, you just draw a line and then you make a little dot here. And now, if you draw a box and you say, okay, I want to draw a box that is below this line, that we are able to see the top of the box like this. So I'm gonna draw it below the eye level. This is the eye level, I'm drawing it below, like this. Okay, so I'm gonna draw the line. I'm gonna draw the box like this. And again, the only rule of this exercise is that you can't erase. You can't Ctrl-C. Maybe even erasing is fine, because sometimes you do fuck up like very badly. Like, if I want to make the line pointing at this direction and I make it pointing at this direction, it's like a valid fuck up sometimes. So yeah, you can, I would even say, okay, just erase it. Don't even Ctrl-C. Like, if you can find a way of unbinding the shortcut to Ctrl-C. I know you can do it in Procreate, for example. You can like hide the Ctrl-C, like the arrow thing. You know what I mean. You can hide it. And here in Photoshop, well, what I do is just disconnecting my keyboard, and it actually works. Trust me, this will put you into a completely different mindset when you're drawing. It is crazy. You need to try this, and you will feel very tempted to Ctrl-C. Look, just because of the nature of the digital tools, even if you're not used to drawing digitally, like if you're a traditional artist and you're drawing with a pen or something, like fair enough, you probably don't need to do this. This is more for like the digital artists who have this bad habit again. But you will find that drawing becomes way more enjoyable when you start drawing everything like this, and eventually you disconnect your keyboard until you naturally, like, your lines start to flow so much more, like, better. And another thing I would recommend, and again, this is gonna make it harder and you may get a little bit frustrated in the beginning, but also you want to turn off the smoothing settings, like the stabilization of your pen. So here I have it off, like you can't see it, but here at the top the smoothing is 0 basically. So whenever I draw a line, it's going to be extra shaky because it's all up to my control, right, to my pulse. And you want to do that because I don't know, it's just it adds to the shakiness and to the ugliness of your lines, and I don't know, it just feels nicer to me. Just try it out, because when you try to make your line, like, there is a reason why we don't use the line tool for drawing. Like, if you're gonna draw a box, there's a reason why we don't do this. Yeah, look, there is a reason why we don't draw like this. I know the perspective is a little wonky here, but the point is that the more you focus on making your lines super mechanical, the uglier and rigid and lifeless they're going to look. Don't do this. There is a reason why, you know, if I draw a box like this, it will have more personality, and it's going to feel more dynamic, more fun. I don't know how to explain it, than this boring, ugly looking box. Right? It just feels better. It just feels more natural. Also, if you're gonna try doing this exercise, I really suggest that you do other two things aside from what I just talked about. I suggest that you use a brush with pen pressure. Again, just turn off the smoothing as well, the stabilization, and also that you focus on pressing very lightly on the tablet. You don't need to press super hard like this. In fact, the lighter you press, the better. This is why you see my lines almost like being nearly invisible sometimes, because I press super light, and this is an amazing habit for just being relaxed in general. Yeah, I mean, just drawing a bunch of boxes, this is going to be a little bit challenging for you if you are still kind of new to perspective and drawing like this, but it is really fun, and it is a really cool exercise. Like, you just draw a bunch of boxes, you arrange them in whatever order that you want, and you can do this every day. Like, before you're gonna draw, do this, which is gonna take you maybe like 10-15 minutes. It's really easy and fast, so let me know how it works for you.